I believe the most needed leadership qualities are empathy and empowerment. Strong leaders understand the needs of others and create environments where people feel valued and supported. Leaders empower their teams by removing barriers and sharing knowledge. When leaders embody these two qualities, they build stronger teams that drive results.
The leadership qualities that I most admire in others are integrity, compassion, clear communication, and the willingness and ability to learn from your mistakes and from the people around you.
The leadership qualities I most admire in others are humility, courage, and a deep commitment to service. The best leaders I've known listen more than they speak, give credit to their teams, and take responsibility when things go wrong. They focus less on recognition and more on impact. In a world that often rewards ego, I admire leaders who stay grounded and use their influence to lift others up.
My favorite leadership quote comes from James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Because it highlights the importance of activism, and that true leadership cannot come from a place of silence. I volunteer and serve the community to uplift those around me. We cannot dream of a more prosperous union if we don't work to build one.
I believe the most needed leadership qualities are empathy, trustworthiness, and have strong moral principles. They're communicative, considerate, and sure power. A good leader helps build up others, plans for the future while being flexible, and remains brave in the face of challenges.
The leadership qualities I admire most in others are leaders who listen and make sure their team has what they need to get the job done, leaders who are transparent and stand up for what's right, and I appreciate it when leaders lead by example, respecting and putting themselves in others' shoes. These qualities create safe spaces where teams can work effectively and get the job done.
The leadership qualities I admire the most are leaders who put people first and lead by example with presence every day. Those who will be remembered not just for their titles, but for their kindness, the communities they impacted, how they made people feel seen and supported through setbacks. The best leaders pull people up with them, collaborate around strengths, and embrace diverse ideas with creativity and courage. They guide people towards the future they believe in and build the world we want to share together.
Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Martin Luther King Jr. Throughout my career, whether as a campaigns professional out in California or a nonprofit ambassador here in DC, I have used this quote as a guiding light, for it underscores the meaning that comes from one's actions when they are done in service of another.
One of my favorite sayings when I think about leadership is leave people better than you found them. Growing up in Parks and Recreation and now throughout my career, I've been incredibly fortunate to be surrounded by amazing leaders, colleagues, families, and participants who poured into me and helped shape who I am. My goal is to do the same for others. I want every person and program that I'm a part of to feel supported, encouraged, and valued. If I can help leave my community even just a little better each day, then I know I'm doing my job as a leader.
My favorite leadership quote is from retired Air Force General Mark Welsh, who said that leadership is a gift and it's given by those who follow, and that you have to be worthy of it. I like this quote because it reminds me that leadership is about rank, title, or personal achievements, but rather about trust. You earn leadership every day through how you support people, help them to develop, and set an example. If the officers, soldiers, or teammates around me feel valued, grow in confidence, and are better prepared because of me, then I've succeeded, and that's the impact that I want to have.
The leadership qualities that I admire most are the willingness to truly listen and the instinct to make sure the right people are a part of the conversation. When I think of the leaders who have inspired me the most, they aren't the leaders that command the room, they are those that are making space in it.
The leadership qualities I admire in others are diplomacy, humility, a sense of shared power, accountability and emotional intelligence, versatility, being imaginative, a sense of stewardship, authenticity, agility, and lastly, being a legacy builder and truly lifting as you climb.
I believe the most needed leadership qualities are empathy, awareness, and courage. Great leaders stay mindful and present in their communities, paying attention to the challenges people around them face. Leadership means listening, uplifting others, and helping people reach their full potential. It also means having the courage to speak up or take a stand when something is wrong or unjust. Leadership is about empowering others and building stronger communities together.
The leadership qualities I admire most are empathy and action. The best leaders really understand the people around them. They listen, they read the room, and they genuinely care. But they're also doers. They don't just talk about ideas, they move things forward, and they actually get things done.
The leadership qualities I most admire in others are courage, empathy, and consistency. Courage to speak up when something needs change. Empathy to truly understand the people around you and the different experiences that they bring. And consistency because leadership isn't one big moment, it's the daily choice we take to show up, do the work, create space for others to grow and succeed.
My favorite leadership quote is, "To add value to others, you must first value others." Because I've learned that when you prioritize people first, everything else, like performance, innovation, and culture, will naturally fall into place.
I believe the most needed leadership qualities right now are intentionality and a dedication to continuous growth. When leaders are purposeful in how they show up and are consistently focused on developing themselves and their teams, that builds a growth-minded culture. And I believe that growth-minded cultures are what drive long-term success, because when people are encouraged to learn and improve, that's what makes an organization resilient and innovative.
I think the most necessary leadership qualities that are needed, especially right now, is the ability to connect with others and really empower them to not only be their best selves, but find the things that really make them tick. If individuals are fully vested in what they're doing and we as leaders can empower them to strive for more, just think of the possibilities for not only their potential, but also the organization that we're supporting. And not only does it help, but it makes us a stronger team together.
My favorite leadership quote is by Marcus Aurelius: "Do less, better." Our lives are pictures of who we are, and those pictures are defined not only by what is on the canvas, but by what is left out. It is the empty space that defines us. Good leaders know how to prioritize, and they focus on what matters most. So be like Marcus Aurelius. Do less, better.
I've always been inspired by leaders who can think beyond the present, making thoughtful decisions for the long-term good of our community, even when it means making some tough choices and sacrifices now, so that together we can create a stronger, more compassionate, and resilient future for the next generations to come.
I believe the most needed leadership qualities are empathy and open-mindedness. Being open to others' perspectives and seeing team members as whole people makes for a leader that people can feel safe enough to share their ideas with, their challenges with, and successes with as their authentic selves. And teams where everyone feels supported in that way create the most transformational and creative work.
The leadership qualities I most admire in others is humility and the willingness to step in when things get tough. Not to take over, but to show the team support. Team members strive to make these leaders proud, and I think that balance of genuine warmth and support, but also being fun to be around, really motivates the team and gets the best out of everybody.
My favorite leadership quote is by Maya Angelou. I have learned that I still have a lot to learn. Because as a leader, I believe growth never stops. There's always something new to understand, new skills to build, and new ways to work more efficiently and more intentionally. It's about learning the people I work with and support. Everyone is motivated differently, communicates differently, and brings their own strengths and lived experiences. The more I learn about them, the better I can support them, empower them, and create an environment where they feel seen, valued, and able to thrive.
To me, great leadership is grounded in clear communication, mutual respect, and the ability to stay adaptable under pressure. But just as important is genuine caring and warmth, because people don't just stay for a job, they stay for a leader that they truly feel loyal to. Effective leaders create alignment by clarifying roles and purpose, removing barriers, and empowering people to do their best work. When leaders communicate consistently, offer thoughtful feedback, and show real care for their teams, they build trust, recognize contributions, and create an environment where people can truly thrive.
My name is Jonathan Keenan. I believe that the key qualities of a leader are first and foremost to be able to recognize the key traits of others around them. This way they're able to put them into positions that are going to make them succeed. And then second, to make sure that those that they are working with are also enabled through getting their own responsibilities to make sure that they can become leaders in their own right and continue growing afterwards.
Hello. The traits I admire most in leaders are resiliency and the ability to adapt to changing environments. In a community as fast-paced and diverse as Northern Virginia, a leader's ability to welcome and maneuver within constant change is the foundation to success.
My favorite quote is, "Never regret a day in your life. The good days give happiness. The bad days give lessons. The worst days give experience. And the best days give memories."
My favorite leadership quote is, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others," Gandhi. One of the reasons why that is one of my favorite leadership quotes is because that really is at the center of what I do every day, whether if it's, helping my organization grow and expand, and or whether if it's a community or a community nonprofit. And so with that, I've definitely learned throughout the years that when we set our ego aside, we become better leaders of purpose.
I think a great leader is super resilient, even in the face of changing times like AI. If you don't have a thirst for knowledge and want to innovate, it's going to be tough to bring your team forward.
I've always believed that leadership is more than just influence, it's about impact. And three qualities that define you as a leader is one, the clarity of your vision and your ability to communicate that vision. Two, building the right systems and the structures to ensure that that vision is carried out. And third, and most importantly, empowering people to carry out that vision and ensuring that you're building more leaders and not just followers. Your ultimate goal and success as a leader is not how far you go alone, but how many leaders rise because of you.
I believe the most needed leadership quality today is authenticity. It is the root of trust. Authentic leaders tell the truth with care, listen with humility, and do what they say they will do. They lead with empathy, and they can work with people who see the world differently than them.
One of my favorite leadership quotes comes from the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, who said, "Leaders must be tough enough to fight, tender enough to cry, human enough to make mistakes, humble enough to admit them, strong enough to absorb the pain, and resilient enough to bounce back and keep on moving." He so elegantly summarizes the dichotomy of leadership, saying that we must allow ourselves to let our guard down and be tender, yet we must be strong enough to not let that pain or that failure be all-consuming, and that we must indeed keep on moving forward.
My favorite leadership quote is from Eleanor Roosevelt. "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing you cannot do." It's my favorite because it reminds me that growth comes from stepping into discomfort, not avoiding it. Every time I've pushed past fear, in my work, my leadership, or my personal life, I've discovered strength I didn't know I had. This quote reminds me to rise, even when I'm unsure.
Albert Einstein once said, "Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you got to keep moving forward." And it's not because I'm in a bike shop or that I run one, but it's true. There are going to be obstacles, there are going to be influences, there are going to be things that are going to try to make you wobble and fall off your bike. As long as you got the right vision, the right direction, and you keep moving forward, people are going to follow you, no matter what.
The leadership qualities I admire the most are balance and agility. To me, a good leader understands their strengths and their limitations. They may have a variety of qualities, but balancing which one to use and how much to use is key. A good leader is similar to a conductor of an orchestra, but inside their head. All of the instruments are not played at once, but it's knowing which instrument and which note is needed to create a symphony. For me, leadership is the art of that balance, creating harmony through thoughtful, agile direction.
I believe the most needed leadership qualities are humility, integrity, and a long-term sense of responsibility. The leaders I respect most are those who listen carefully, think beyond the moment, and make decisions based on what will strengthen their community over time. Leadership isn't about personal recognition. It's about stewardship and leaving things better from when you found her.
My favorite quote about leadership comes from the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. In that poem, there's a line that states, "You must meet triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same." What that line emphasizes for me is, as a leader, we will have moments where we're not always correct, where we must learn from our mistakes and use them as growth opportunities to not only better ourselves, but better the communities and the people we're serving, and ultimately leading and becoming an effective leader.
The leadership qualities I most admire in others are humility and clarity. When faced with challenges, effective leaders acknowledge that they may not have all the right answers, but through listening and learning from others, they can create the space and support needed to clear a path forward. The most impactful leaders in my life model an authenticity and pragmatism that empowers people to be their best selves.
I believe the most needed leadership qualities are empathy, authenticity, and integrity. Empathy allows leaders to truly listen and understand the people that they serve. Authenticity is about showing up with honesty and transparency so others feel safe to do the same. And integrity is about keeping your word, especially when it's difficult or inconvenient. It's what creates credibility and trust over time. When we lead this way, we create environments where our people feel valued, supported, and empowered to grow.
One of my favorite leadership quotes is, "Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence." What moves me about this quote is that it reframes leadership as legacy. It reminds me that leadership is about walking into a space and leaving people stronger, more confident, more capable than they were before. And it's about building something so powerful that it continues to grow long after we've stepped away.